Hey, welcome to CryptoCoach365, day 94. Michael Tozoni here. So, the little crash that we had yesterday was pretty short-lived. I don't want to say called it because it's just so cliche, but I didn't expect it to recover that fast, but it recovered fast. And thinking about that, like if you look at the Bitcoin price in general, every time there's a huge, massive spike, it's over speculation, bots are trading too much, and generally it's not sustainable, so it crashes down. On the other hand, anytime there's a huge, massive drop like what we had yesterday, it's again over speculation about the downside and a massive drop, but it's also short-lived because it pops right back up. So what that actually tells me is that unlike other things that actually do not have value, get speculated on, bad news comes out and they crash and people find out, well, it's actually bad and it has no value, like, housing bubble, dot-com bubble, the Turkish lira more recently. With Bitcoin, it crashed, but it popped right back up. And what that tells me is that there is an actual market use for Bitcoin, an actual market price, an actual market floor. And if it pops down too low, then it gets brought back up to where its actual value is. So really these kind of little series of drops and recoveries, or even climbs and drops, pretty much are telling us that Bitcoin's price right now at where it's at, it's about right where it's supposed to be. So that's, that's pretty cool. Good to know that Bitcoin is not a useless speculation. But unfortunately, another Bitcoin drop, another stupid article about how Bitcoin is stupid or Bitcoin is dead. So I'm not going to tell you who wrote it or what the article is because I don't want to give them any publicity, but it's kind of more of the theme where as they go through and they explain how Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, nothing has intrinsic value. The way they explain intrinsic value is that it's something that has value even if you can't sell it. That doesn't make much sense because if it has value to, well, I guess you could say it has value only to you and nobody else. But even in that case, if you can use it for something that is valuable to you, there's a good chance you can turn that around and use it for somebody else's benefit as well. So it doesn't really make sense. And usually, if it's something that has value to you, it has value to others as well. But in general, the whole idea of intrinsic value, it's kind of gone out of economic fashion, or was kind of debunked for like a century at this point, and people are still sticking out to it because it came out with gold, where gold has intrinsic value, whereas the paper that's backed by it is, but whatever. There's no such thing as intrinsic value, basically. It's an old, outdated idea. But the other one that he wrote in the article, it's the age-old and totally debunked and kind of ignorant. Sorry, I just play with my cat. There's cat hair all over me. Ignorant claim that Bitcoin is useless, but blockchain is where the value comes from. So he explained it as you might have. Now, the analogy he used was that you could invent an idea for a cure for cancer, and you can make it public knowledge, and then you can use that cure for cancer to make cancer cure pills, and then sell those cancer cure pills. And while those pills might have a little bit of value, because the actual information for it is public knowledge, everybody else can create like alternative generic version of those cancer pills. And in the end, your cancer pill should not be worth anything because the information is public and anybody can make their own cancer pill. So his idea was that your cancer pill in this case would be Bitcoin, all the alternative cancer pills will be altcoins, and the actual public knowledge would be the blockchain. That really underscores his fundamental misunderstanding of money, which is ironic because his blog post is all about money and investment, in that you can apply the exact same logic to the US dollar. Like US dollar, by that logic, should have no value whatsoever because really anybody is able to print colored pieces of paper and give them value and say, this is money, this is like Michael dollars or whatever the hell. but obviously that does not happen. And the reason is that there's a network effect where if you print something that's not the dollars, then people will not accept it because that's not something that they accept. In the same way that you can make tons of altcoins, but the reason Bitcoin has value is because other people will accept Bitcoin, but they will not accept any of the other coins. Big thing though that he keeps pushing about, and a lot of people keep pushing about, and I mentioned this before as well, but if you missed it, I'll repeat it. He claims Bitcoin itself does not have value, whereas the Bitcoin blockchain is what might have value. This also is claimed by people who do not even understand how Bitcoin in itself, how the whole concept of blockchains work. So they don't understand it, but they kind of have a grasp of very, very basic stuff, and then they use that very basic grasp to dismiss it as if they are an authority on it. So the way he described it, the blockchain is a way for you to be able to send transaction or information to somebody else without depending on a third party, where you can trust that your information is actually going to be received, and that is what a blockchain is. But there's a reason that you can send this information to somebody else without requiring a third party for trust, and that reason is mining, where each block is signed and processed by a Bitcoin miner or a currency miner, or basically some authority that go through, verifies those transactions, and puts a very difficult to forge signature. And the only reason that they're doing this work, where they go through and create these unforgeable signatures, is because they get paid for it by the coin or token that runs on top of the blockchain. So the reason that Bitcoin is able to send money back and forth or the reason that any blockchain is able to send information back and forth directly between people without relying on a third party and knowing that there's nobody lying about it, is because that blockchain has a token that is mined, and that token actually has value that pays those miners for their work. And so without Bitcoin, there cannot be any blockchain whatsoever. A blockchain without Bitcoin is a database that anybody is able to easily change anytime they want to. The whole point of the blockchain is to have that central component of Bitcoin running together with it. So yeah, Bitcoin is the blockchain, not Bitcoin, is like on my computer, it's about the hard drive, not the CPU or whatever, or I guess with dollars you can say. Actually, I don't even know what the dollar comparison can be, but yeah, you can't have a trustless system without paying for somebody to provide that lack of trust. If you have a blockchain without Bitcoin, that third party, even if you have a third party that is mining blocks on your behalf, there's no way to trust that that third party is actually going to confirm your transaction or not go back and change something in the past, screwing up your transactions or changing your data in the past. The only way to prove that they cannot is to pay them with a Bitcoin, and in a system like the blockchain, where the economic incentives will actually punish them if they try to change things or make things enter bad entries or change past data. So yeah, that's it. Anyway, that's it for today, I guess. My day today was kind of exciting. I finally managed to meet with Section 8. That was kind of an adventure on its own. There was a old sci-fi story I read where it's kind of a fanfic, but there's one world that had this concept of the void in there, where if you go, you can get trapped in the void and get lost in there and might never be able to come out. And when the person finds out what the void is, it's a massive bureaucratic system that is running that society, where if you want to get anything done, you have to go and talk to some bureaucrat who will probably pass you on to somebody else and then on to somebody else and so on. I had that kind of an experience where I went to, well, first I spent about 45 minutes fighting with the automated phone system, trying to get to somebody who would actually talk to me. And every time I would actually get to somebody, they're saying that's a different department. They would transfer me, the phone would ring, and nobody would ever pick up. Then I finally drove to the actual address, 30 minutes one way out of my life. Went to one floor, they talked to me, they told me it's actually on a different floor, so I went to a different floor, talked to a department, they told me it's a department across the street, the other side across the hallway. Went to that department, talked to them, they told me it's in a different building. When I finally got to that other building, they actually finally talked to me, so that was frustrating to say the least. But at least I was able to talk to who I needed to talk to, and I can go forward with my real estate, with the rental stuff. Kind of a learning experience too. My tenant was a Section 8 tenant, as it turns out, and this whole time since May, apparently Section 8 has been sending payments, and they were going directly to the prior owner of the property. So I have to call the prior of the property and have him send my money, because it's technically my money since May. From my perspective, what was going on was the tenant was trying to move away, and because it's in Baltimore, it's really hard to kick him out. So I just kind of letting him go through and just checking on him, making sure he's at least pushing the paperwork, but I was pretty much losing money on it. So yeah, if you have a tenant and it's Section 8, you need to find out if they're Section 8, and if they are Section 8, make sure to transfer whom the money is supposed to go to. Yeah, after that was kind of fun, because today was my another instrument flight rating class. Great weather, unfortunately, because I could see outside, but I still flew where I could not look outside the window. There's this device that kind of covers your field of vision where you can only see the instruments. But it was, it was fun going flying again. And for the rest of the day, we are packing and heading down to the new property we just got, because tomorrow there's going to be some security, another installation early in the morning. The place is 2 hours away, and I don't feel like waking up early in the morning and spending 2 hours in rush hour traffic. So anyway, that's it for today. And then tomorrow is actually going to be a meeting again on my big project with Adela and some other people, and we're going to be doing our mastermind and planning for putting together the business blueprint, which my coach JT Fox teaches how to do. I might explain how that actually works in here later on too, and put together a plan for raising capital and adding a possible manager to our big project, because we have somebody big and important in mind. Anyway, that's it for today, and I'll let you go how things go tomorrow. So see you then. Bye.